This is Jeff. This is Tim.
It's Trevor.
We are End of Silence.
Check out our interview with Bending Reality at www.bendingrealitymag.com.
Hey, this is Brandon Morningstar with Bending Reality Magazine. Privileged tonight to talk to one of my local favorites here in Central PA known as End of Silence. Can you guys say hi to everybody?
What's up, everybody?
Well, hello.
Welcome to the DJ Fire interview.
Hey, thanks a lot, man.
Oh, how's everybody tonight?
Good. We're doing well.
Okay, each of you, could you introduce yourself?
This is Tim Jesiolowski.
Cool. Nice to meet you, Tim. I think I met you at the last show that I saw you guys at Tubby's. It's been a while, but yeah.
I think I remember, yeah.
Yeah, the exit.
I do remember meeting Trevor.
Well, there you go. He tends to leave an impression.
He does.
And a few straight hairs here or there. You know.
Ed, I know you're probably in there somewhere. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Ben. How you doing?
I'm good. The only person I'm not familiar with is you guys as bassist.
Nobody knows the bass player, man. I'm Jeff. Jeff Lawrence.
Hi, Jeff.
He was a member of the band. Been with us for 2.5 years. Yeah.
So these questions, I promise, will not be too tough to answer. We're going to have fun.
All right.
Sounds good.
What's yo?
Okay, each of you, could you introduce yourself? Tell everybody what your specialty is.
Well, this is Ed Piccolo. I'm not sure what my specialty is, but these guys have me in the band to play drums, and they let me keep playing, so I guess I'm okay there.
All right.
Jeff Lawrence. I guess my specialty is laying down the thunder bass. But Tim gives me the good stuff to work with, and I recently found the Nirvana that is the Ampeg 8x10 cabinet that truly brings the sound that I've been looking for. And my eyes are open, so now I can truly hurt people at every show if I so desire.
My name's Tim Jesiolowski. I'm the guitar player and the riff creator.
Magician. And I'm Trevor Schubert. I am the singer guy, frontman dude. If I forget the lyrics, I'll just jump around and fill in for it somehow with some sort of crazy.
Just yell watermelon.
Watermelon with some whiz bang.
Through a megaphone.
Yeah, through a megaphone. Exactly. So I think we're all in that kind of space where we bring this kind of energy that we like to eat from bands that we go out there to go and catch that kind of idea of just like not just putting on doing a performance but putting on a show at the same time and really bringing it. So That being said, that's us.
Okay. Well, if somebody would like to tell me the origin of the band's name, how it came about.
I can do that. This is I'm a huge fan of Henry Rollins, and back in 1991, he put out an album called The End of Silence. It was a huge influence on my life. Fast forward 20 years and some odd years, whatever. I took a break from playing guitar, playing out and whatnot, and decided I wanted to put a band back together, and found Ed. We started playing, rehearsing, and decided to pick a name. And honestly, I sat at my computer, flipped through iTunes, and looked at the different names of my album. And The End of Silence popped up, and you know what? I thought it really fit, because Ed was coming off a long trip of not playing. I was coming off a couple years not playing, so we decided to end our silence, start rocking again. So it's twofold.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. When you guys are playing, or I should say when you're not playing on stage and doing your thing, like in rehearsals and stuff, what do you guys like to do for fun?
For fun? Well, we like to buy houses and apparently just move into them and get stressed about it. So I don't know.
Pop stars buy houses.
It's been like since the inception of the band, at least the current lineup, that we've all kind of we've all been drawing straws as to who gets to do the.
Who moves next?
Yeah, who gets to move next? It's been like 6 months for one guy, and then 6 months for the next guy. So yeah, crazy stuff. Next one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Well, this is Tim again. What I like to do when I'm not rocking with these guys is basically I'm an IT guy by trade for a community bank. So I sort of like, this is my moonlighting gig. This is my bowling night with the guys. I love to do this kind of thing. When I'm not working, I have a 5-year-old son who keeps me really busy. I love him to death. And when I'm not with him, I'm mountain biking. That leaves me about 5 more minutes left in my day to do anything. So,
Okay. Yeah.
Jeff do. Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, don't be shy.
You took all my fun stuff, man. I do the same crap. No, yeah, I mean, I'm also a family guy. I've got 2 kids, and I love hanging out with them. But this is the music. Probably the main thing I do is ride. I used to mountain bike and do cool stuff when I lived out in Colorado many years ago. But since I came to PA 10, 12 years ago now, it's all road biking stuff. And I try to every year go on at least one pretty long ride, usually trying to raise money. I'm actually just about to head out to Columbus, Ohio next week and do just a 50-mile ride. It's not super long, but it's for a great cause. It raises money for cancer research. So
Very
looking
cool.
forward to that. Good deal.
Anybody else?
So, yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer that because I spent 20 years of my life raising 2 kids and spent most of that time on the sidelines of a basketball court or a baseball court. Or I'm not field hockey. I just watch field hockey because I don't understand that sport. But coaching, my kids.
And one side of the stick.
I know, it's crazy. And they just blow the whistle all the time. I don't know what they're doing. But, you know, coaching baseball at you know, for high school and travel teams and all that kind of stuff and basketball and stuff. And, you know, my kids are now 21 and 19, and my wife and I are trying to figure out what we used to do for fun before we had kids and recover that. So we're doing a lot of the outdoorsy stuff and just getting in the car on weekends and not being home.
Very cool. How about you, Trevor? What do you do for fun?
Oh man, all sorts of crazy stuff. I think we're all in the fatherhood phase. At one level, you're still there. You're never out. It's possible. They will find a way to pull you back in. Now, my oldest is 15. My youngest is 10. You might even hear her kind of chit-chatting in the background. She's little Miss Social X Media or something. I'm texting her right now saying, we're recording. I mean, there's no magic mystery to this. We're not in some crazy studio. We're just chilling in my house talking to you right now. So it's all good. But yeah, we're family focused guys. I mean, we're at that point in our lives where we're just out there having fun. Like Tim said, this is kind of a bowling. I think it's an outlet. I think we're all level headed enough to be able to do the things that we need to do during the day to be out there to use this as an outlet, and that's one of a few outlets that I have. In addition to this, I do a lot of art. You name it. I mean, everything from visual art stuff to I'm getting into 3D printing and all sorts of other crazy things, whether it's digital or traditional.
Trevor's being a little modest.
Yeah,
He's like a badass illustrator who has some really cool stuff. He goes down to conventions and sets up booths with his own illustrations, and he's got
Plug it.
printed on T-shirts and all kinds of cool stuff. It's really awesome.
Zombie shit.
Yeah.
I got hired to do. Oh, there's that FCC. I got hired. I've been hired to do comic books in the past, and that's always been a cool thing to just kind of check off the list. But again, I'm always trying to kind of do that balance between art and music and art. And I used to look at it back in the day as like almost like balancing plates. Like if I'm doing too much of one, I need to be doing more of the other, and it's really all just one thing. I mean, you're just going to find a way to do it as long as you just keep at it and enjoy the ride. But yeah, fatherhood's been a magical thing as well. I mean, that's something that we are all enjoying personally. Whenever I can bring the kids into doing something, especially at the age they're getting to now, where we can actually come to some of the shows and see this stuff other than just kind of in the garage or hear little bits and pieces of these.
Not that there's anything wrong with the garage.
No, there's nothing wrong with
the magic happens in that
garage. They're done. The magic there for sure. But as far as it's one thing to hear a clip of something versus going out to a live band, and I feel like maybe I'm speaking for everybody here, but that's what what first drew me to music was going out to see a band for the first time and going, wow, I feel this in every little fiber, bone, toenail of my body. Like this is just that was the bass player. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Right on.
Yeah, me as well. You probably do it. Okay.
All right. Why don't you guys tell me individually about your musical influences and how it inspires you, either with the instrumental part or vocals for you, Trevor? Why don't you guys tell me about your influences?
Well, I guess for me, I'll give the condensed version. The first bands I was into was hair bands like Poison and Rat, and then I heard Master of Puppets, and then after that, I pretty much threw all my Poison records out and had a steady diet of Metallica and everything heavier than that, Slayer, Sepultura, Testament, the Big Four, all that stuff. I started playing guitar when I was about 16, I'd say, and I just devoured the instrument. I loved it. I was fully into metal for many, many years until I started working at a guitar shop where the gentleman who owned it was from the Southern rock era, who turned me on to Lynyrd Skynyrd, the Allman Brothers, the Outlaws, ZZ Top. So And of course Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I have a mishmash of influences. My playing, I would say, is probably similar to someone like Jerry Cantrell, who's got like a very heavy end and riffage to his playing, but yet a bluesy, dark bluesy style. So
Right.
I like to think I'm a little bit of Hetfield, a little bit of Stevie Ray, a little bit of Billy Gibbons.
Very cool.
Cobalt, man.
Well, so this is it. I'll try and keep this reasonably short, but there's a lot of years behind me here. So I grew up listening. My mom was a huge, like, old-style country fan. One of my earliest influences.
I'm going to keep it short. Back in the 40s.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through a lot of eras really quick. But, I remember listening to, like, Johnny Cash and stuff a lot, and I found myself going from that to, the funk of P-Funk and James Brown and that kind of stuff. And then somehow I went from there to the first Metallica albums and, Priest and Maiden, and I just fell in love with that kind of stuff. I mean, I already was kind of listening to hard rock. I was one of the Kiss Army kind of people and all. But from a drumming standpoint, obviously it's the traditional. Neil Peart is my idol, and
What are you having at the Peart? Neil Peart? I thought you were supposed to pronounce that Peart.
No, they're not.
Oh.
Well, anyway,
That's how guitarists pronounce it.
because you're okay. And then just like from a drumming influence, there's a lot of people, Simon Phillips and that kind of stuff, just like all over the place. But I mostly enjoy playing hard driving rock kind of stuff. But really the influences are like all over the place.
Okay.
They really are.
Yeah, I'll jump in here as well. I'll try to keep it a little bit shorter. My influences are also all over the place. As a quick aside, I realized that my favorite Pandora station recently is Violent Femmes, because for no apparent reason, Violent Femmes picks up everything. You get some Johnny Cash in there, you get some Cure, you get, of course, Violent Femmes, you get like some harder rock stuff, pops in. It's really like that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, my formative years as far as music were the 80s, and I didn't go the hair metal route. I went the U2, Cure, that kind of stuff, and I was totally into it. Yeah, I was all right. Squeeze. Yeah, I was all that stuff.
Pet Shop Boys.
So I take my statement back. I fly to Jeff now.
But then somewhere along the way though, I caught Nirvana like a month before. I take no credit. I just remember a distinct moment where I went to my buddy, who was living in State College at the time, and I played Smell Like Teen Spirit. I was like, yeah, this is it. Like this is going to be huge. This is where our music is going. It's one of the few times in my life that I was actually able to call it like that. And just it wasn't anything special to it. I heard it and freaking loved it and knew that that's what I wanted to kind of start to veer towards. And then the 90s were consumed by Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana and Pearl Jam and all the rest, which kind of puts me a little bit more in line with Trevor, who you'll hear in a moment. But as far as how it translates to the bass, honestly, it's probably less about where I get my influences from. It's really the fact that I'm a translated rhythm guitarist. I played rhythm guitar in all the 80s and 90s, and finally was in a band that kept losing bass players, and we were like, all right, well, I'm just going to buy a rig and be the bass player. So like all transplanted guitarists, I really just kind of pick up the root note all the time, and that was fine for a little while, but now I've been doing it for 20 years, and along the way I've figured out a couple of extra little things that bass players can do, but at its core, I'm not like Mr. Walking Bassline and all that kind of stuff, and I think Tim likes that because he comes with a song idea that he like thought of it on guitar, and then I really just kind of solidify and give it a backbone. I really don't do too much. I mean, there are one or two places in some of our songs, but the bulk of what I'm adding to any of his originals are really just kind of, I'm going to follow you and thicken this up and give Ed something to bang with as well. And
he totally solidifies it and makes it more awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, multiple ways, including the harmonies, man. Absolutely. Can't forget about those. Which, we good?
Yeah.
And then I would say the segue into that would just be, I think for me, musically it's always been about harmonies and about really strong vocalists, but also multiple vocalists in a project, whether it's the same person over and over again, or like, or 3 and 4 part harmonies. It's kind of crazy, but growing up in the 80s as a child of the 80s, and then living in the suburbs of Philly, we moved out into rural central PA and had a 120-something acre farm. So by 12 early teens, I was out there. So I think we got 1 or 2 radio stations, and they were like, it was like some sort of Love 99 something or other, and like the Wink rock. The X would come in, the actual hard rock station would come in kind of barely. It kept a little bit, but it was just one of those where I started picking up on something like Boys to Men and In Vogue and all those bands.
Oh, wow.
Dude, yeah. See, this is more of a discovery than you probably know. You're like, whoa, he's a pop guy. Yeah, no, seriously. Like, there was some stuff, in my early teens. I was definitely not the grunge guy that I suddenly kind of evolved into out of the blue. It was so funny, too, because it was like, I don't know, almost like you're going into a store and you've been eating a certain kind of ice cream all your life and you're kind of cool with it, and all of a sudden somebody brings you this thing that's got, like, sparklers on it and it's, like, dripping in some sort of, like, hot fudge and whatever, and you go, yeah, well, this thing out of the box, this was good, but I like this way better now. And he just instantly changed over. But I still kept some of the stuff, influences from my parents was a lot of Beach Boys and Chicago and the Beatles. And my gosh, I mean, just the thing that always impressed me, though, was that my mom would just, didn't need any incentive. Record was on, she'd just bust out and just start singing. Just walking around, singing, cleaning, singing, cooking, singing, doing whatever. Singing and doing something. It was just always a cool thing that I guess I at an early age kind of was influenced by pretty heavily. But as far as for me, the big vocalists of that have really influenced me and dialed in the kind of sound and the kind of performance that I give now are definitely the late great Scott Weiland and Kurt Cobain. Now I've got too many late great ones to name, I guess, unfortunately, but it's getting there. Lane Staley, obviously, Alice in Chains. But let's stop talking about dead people. Yeah, right. Anyway, but Chris Cornell's definitely a big influence for me as well. So yeah, I mean that's kind of where I guess I'm at in a nutshell.
Okay.
Nutshell. I took a lot of crack. Anyway,
as it pertains to fan interaction, how would you say you guys engage the crowd, and what do they do to engage you to keep the show flowing and interesting throughout?
I can answer this one right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
You know what the number one most awesome thing is the fans can do? Show up at our gigs. When they do that, we brought the answer to this question that they're there already. Well, okay, but that is always the best step, and the best move that any fan can do is to show up at a gig, support local music, and once they do show up, we throw the most kick-ass rock and roll live show that they've probably ever seen. That involves me jumping around, that involves Jeff jumping around, and Ed doing as much as he can behind the kit, and Trevor, I'll let him talk about it, but he really steers the ship as far as the visual action.
Visual action. Let's just leave it at that, right? No, it's kind of like I mentioned earlier. It's that idea of my influences in the type of, when I go out to see a band, the last thing I want to see is a bunch of people just kind of standing, unless they are doing the most complicated, crazy thing in the world that's totally justifiable. If you're Tool, or you're
like if you're Neil Peart,
yeah, okay. Yeah, there you go.
If you're Dee Lee,
then yeah, you can just stand there. Let's just go live on the internet.
If you're Alex Levin.
But it's that kind of the idea that is like.
Jeff actually loves me. Like, he really wanted to play with no other drummer out there.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. None can hold a candle.
I love you too.
We just like to put on a good show all around because all of us have seen too many bands, like Trevor was saying, they just stand up there and play their songs. And you know what? It's about putting on a good live performance, a visual performance, and backing it up with great talent. And I am really honored to play with all these guys in this band because everyone's talented.
Well, and I think one thing we've learned, because none of us are real short in the tooth, we've all been doing this for a little while, and I think we all kind of learned that magic doesn't just happen except every once in a blue moon. You can't rely on that. You play too many gigs to wait for the magic to happen. So first the people actually have to be there. Tim's right. I mean, getting the asses in the seat is huge.
And then getting them out.
But yeah, but then once they're there, then it's your job. I mean, it's going to be the one in a million gig that they just are all in the mood. They jump up to the stage or whatever. So we know that that's our job. Even it doesn't matter what mood we're in at the beginning of the set. We know that we're there to play and we love to play. So as soon as those notes start to hit, we're going to be bouncing around. We're going to be doing everything we can to engage people and make it clear that we're having fun and we want people to have fun with us. Because what we found out is that, you know, it's a give and take, and you give that to the audience, they start to give you something back because they feel it from you, and then it creates a little circle where you feed off their energy, then they start feeding off yours, and next thing you know, you've got one of those epic gigs where there's everybody's in front of you sweating and bouncing off each other, and you're like laughing and high-fiving yourself backstage afterwards, and that's what every musician wants at the end of the day. But it starts with you putting the effort in at the beginning of the gig, and I think all four of us have learned that's part of it, and we come to every gig ready and willing to do that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my next question. Since we talked about influences, let's discuss who you guys like to cover when you're doing covers. Who's some of your favorites to cover?
This has been the eternal question. We were just jamming some stuff tonight, and we really run the gamut. And this band, we're morphing as we go through this life. You know, we change. I remember wanting to start this band out as like just a hard rock band, and then next thing you know, we have a band member comes in and he throws a song at us, and we're playing Whitesnake. And then we're doing, what was another wacky one? We're doing some stuff that really, we started to get, lose a little bit of focus. But we love playing Velvet Revolver. We do Slither. Yeah, the Cold Songs. Yes. Straight ahead, good rock and roll. We do a couple AC/DC stuff. When we had two guitars, myself and another one, we attempted some more dual guitar type stuff. We did Detroit Rock City and some Metallica stuff, and so it's really cool. The band sort of morphs as we go along. So,
but I think we also with covers, I don't know if we've made a concerted effort to do this or if it's just happened. A lot of the covers that we end up picking are not the standard Central PA bar band covers. Like even if we're doing a song by a band that may be covered by a fair amount of bands around here, we'll get something out of their repertoire that is just not normally played out because that's what we like to kind of have it fresh for us and hopefully fresh for the audience as well. And heck, sometimes they might think it's one of our originals.
Right. Well, honestly, when we first heard the song "Howl" by Beware of Darkness, we were like, "Damn it, we're covering that right now." It just had such a killer groove, and that and Royal Blood songs, stuff like that you hear once and you just know it's gonna rock. So
we played "Howl" down at the Bourbon. I remember Anthony came up with us afterwards and said something about, "Hey, what was that first song you guys opened up the set with? That was cool. We should record that." And we're like, "That's actually someone else's song."
Very, very cool. Okay, if you had the chance to open in a big arena, whether it be here in our state or on a global stage, where would you love to open a show for?
Where, like geographically, or who would we open for?
But both who you would love to open for and the arena in which you'd play at.
I would love to open for Godsmack, and I would love to do one of these big festivals like Rock Allegiance or something like that, where you got 20 bands on 3 stages, and hopefully we'd be on the main stage somewhere. But that would really be cool. And where that there's going to be thousands of people there, and they're just going to eat up no matter, if you're playing original music, which is what we really like to do, they're going to eat it up and they're going to be into it. And, I would just love to do one of the big festivals.
Yeah.
Now, I have friends that have been on stage for those, and they say they are better than playing an arena any day.
Okay.
I think that's a consensus. We all agree with that.
Sure.
Okay.
I think any band that anybody mentions now is everyone's going to nod, right? So now that I've thrown that out there, here's where you come in.
No. Devil's advocate. I mean, the only thing, as a specific list, I think Ed's right. The number of bodies would be awesome. But going back to my Colorado days, of course, I have a little bit of an affinity for Red Rocks just because
that would be cool.
Sounds so damn nice.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't know if our genre really fits into that, but they have different kind of acts out there, and that would be a lot of fun to play there for sure.
With who?
Midnight Mob, probably.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Red Rock and the Silence Midnight Mob.
Sweet, done. Throwing it out there.
Very,
if you heard that.
Very, very cool.
How about you, Jimmy?
Okay.
Well, I'm going to throw it out there to say Germany one of these days. The last name Schubert. I got to go back to the roots at some point.
Well, they have some huge festivals over there.
Yeah.
Badass band playing. Yeah. And they love hard rock in Europe, so let's go.
Done. Good. And I wouldn't even be upset if it was the newly reformed SED or whatever it is being. Somebody would call them Clone Temple Pilot. No. Oh man, that's funny, but it's also, and it's weird to me, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but bands like Alice in Chains can get away with it only because I think the idea is that the essence of the band is still absolutely there. I'm not saying that it's not with STP, but I think there was such a big gaping hole that was left in that situation that honestly, I wish them the best. success, and I hope that they do well, and would like to see them turn into something more. But this contest that they put together to bring a vocalist in was kind of changing. Now everything's kind of gone dark, so no one really knows what's happening now. But we'll see. But yeah, it would be a band I'd say sure. Yeah, any national band I would not be opposed to whatsoever. Sure, or smaller band because they're going to rock it too.
Okay, last question, and it's the toughest one I ask all bands and musicians, so get your thinking caps on. If I were a major label executive, what would you guys individually say to me to convince me that you deserve the big contract?
Wait, they have contracts anymore for record labels?
What era are we talking about?
I'm sorry, that was okay.
There you go. No contract around the sound. That's right.
Wow, I don't know. I mean, it is a tough one. I think there's really not a whole lot you can say. You got to come out and see the show. You got to come out and watch this. I'm a very active drummer, and these guys in front of me never stand still. They are jumping, and the energy on the front of the stage is ridiculous. And if you want to know why you should sign any band, go see their show and see what they're going to do, because nobody's making money on records, and you got to get people out. And I don't think there's a ton of people that like to go watch bands that stand there and hide behind their microphone or whatever. They want to see energy, and I think that's one thing that End of Silence does. And I think there's talent in this band musically, but we're just fun to watch. And that's myself. Come see us, and we'll be all over. Yeah, we'll be all over the stage, and you're going to have fun.
But if I may add to that, on the back end, we put on a good show, but we back it up with high-quality songwriting and kick-ass riffs and great rock and roll. I think there's a lot of that that's missing today, and I think there's just a better level of, I'm not trying to toot our horn too much here, but if you check out our music on iTunes or on CD Baby or on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see and hear a level of music that you just don't see around this area that often. That's my selling point.
I like it. And I guess with Tim's point, Ed's point made, somewhere in the middle, in a good way, the fact that what we do a lot is we just improv our way into situations where, I might torture the bejesus out of them on a Led Zeppelin song when we stop for, 15, 20 seconds and go, okay, now we're going to bring it back and we get the crowd into it. We do something along those lines. Or we'll just not do something at all. What was the last show we did at Fat Daddy's where we busted out a song we'd never even played before? Two we had never even played before.
All right.
Yeah.
Somebody yelled out, like, yeah, let's take a shot. We've all
heard it. Yeah, you know what? It was not bad because you know what? At the same time, we're not. I'm not saying I hate the purist, the person that needs to make sure it's exactly like that. But if you're so worried about making it, exact, then just put the original in and hit play. I mean, if you want a live performance from somebody that's going to give you the best that they can do and put their take on things, then that's why you want to go out and see a band like us, because that's what we do. We know where we are. We're dialed in. Everybody kind of is firing on pistons, all pistons, in the sense that if I feel like I can vocally nail something or work with Jeff or with Tim to hit a harmony on something really, really crazy, hell yeah, we'll do it. We'll go for it. Or we'll just completely take a song that is more traditional and just tip it upside down and completely mess with it.
And with your indulgence, guys, I'll go in a totally different direction.
Yeah,
do it. So that question, what I would probably say is, well, thanks for the consideration, sir, but realistically, you may have heard from earlier in the interview, we're not 22-year-old dudes that are looking to get in the van down by the river and spend a month on the road. Like, we're all older guys and we have families, and we're realistic about that. So we love music and we love playing around here. But honestly, if a promoter came to us, unless he was like, look, you're signed right now and here's your tour dates and everything's all lined up, in all honesty, we would probably kind of say, hey, really, why don't you focus on the songs that we've recorded, and we want to get those things into shows that are on TV or on commercials, things like that, because we think we've recorded really good songs and we've made a special effort to go to good studios and make sure that they are the quality that those kind of places need. And quite frankly, we're a little bit older and we do have some business savvy, and we would be able to speak the language of the people on the other end of the line. We'd be able to cut the deals with them. We'd be able to understand what they were talking about when they wanted to talk about the actual business aspects of the trade, and we'd love to get our music out there. So that's really where the band is making a push in that direction. We're playing around Central PA and we want to play more around here and have fun with it. But I mean, realistically, we're not going on tour anytime soon.
Right.
So.
I think we would all feel like if we quote-unquote made it, if one of our songs appeared on a TV show or in a movie that was pretty big. So that'd be cool.
Like a car chase or something.
Yeah, man.
Jason Stratham would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, the hard part of the process is over. Thank you for the interview. That was great. Now the thing that I resonate with is blue collar work ethic, and the fact that you, on a personal note, your music really speaks to me.
Cool, thank you.
And I definitely, with the platform that I have, being part of an online radio station, I'm going to make sure that when I play it, people understand it, because I get a lot of listeners from all walks of life on a global scale asking me, because since I endorse so many indie bands globally, including yours, they ask, what are they all about? And I tell them, just give them a listen, and just listen to the lyrics, listen to the sheet music, and you'll know. You'll just know, because a lot of the local bands in our area, your guys included, that you just listen to the lyrics very carefully and you listen to the sheet music, you just can feel that drive to succeed.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, man.
Right on.
And I tell you what, if you don't mind me just saying, we appreciate shows like yours and the folks that are out there that are trying to give, the local bands a voice. This music industry today is nothing like it was 30 years ago, and it's really, really hard to get your stuff out there. And it takes people like you who are willing to go out, see the local band, come out to the clubs around here and find us and give us a chance to be heard. And we truly, truly do appreciate it, all your efforts. And, really, we just can't thank people like you enough.
Very well said. I agree. Thank you so much.
It's something I would say. How do I want to say this without sounding like a groupie? I would just say this, that I have that same shared passion for music, even though I used to be in a band years ago, eons ago it seems like now, and that same shared love of music, that same passion for music, that same blue collar thing. That's why I do what I do, because local music in this area is hot right now, and I'm gonna continue to do what I do for bands like yours. I don't know if you guys see my Facebook posts right now, because my Rough Cut campaign just started this week, and this week's the people that I'm debuting this week are Decipher Life, and I will totally do the same for you guys, just so you know.
Cool. Well, that's awesome. I haven't seen yourself with Decipher Life. Steve's a good friend of ours, it's kind of awesome to watch all the posts about and stuff. So we appreciate it.
Okay, cool, yeah. So I'm really glad I got to talk to you guys tonight. I mean, thank you for giving me time to talk to you guys. And like I said, this is not one and done interview thing. This is the first of an ongoing circle of series that will not stop till I stop being a DJ or I lose my passion for music, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. Well, guys, I thank you for your time. Tim, thank you for helping put this together with me. I do appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Take care, guys.
Later.
Bye.